All right. So, what's going on, everybody? It's Tony Marz
And Mary Bly.
with the Melted Broadcast, and we're here with Michael Kopf with the energy that surrounds us. What's up, Michael?
Hey, Michael.
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Ready for this episode. It's our first live episode, so we're excited.
I know. I was so excited. As a friend of mine did on when I started my series, number one.
That's funny.
All right. So, for those of you, if you guys saw the last episode with us and Michael, we stopped it with getting ready for this episode to talk about his three near-death experiences. So we're gonna jump into that. Also, a little bit of mythology and a little bit of time travel.
Yeah, we're curious hear the story of the time of the near-death experiences first. So,
Yeah. So let's go ahead and jump into that, Michael.
All right. Sure, we can do that. And I also want to take a moment and say, before I get started, thank you to the Melted Broadcast for doing this and give a shout out to Mary's channel, her new
uh,
Oh man.
yes,
Yeah, the unhinged a
the Mary
Mary
Bly
Blige
show.
show.
Thank you so much for that, Michael. I
Yeah,
appreciate
she's
it.
actually getting booked with people pretty quick.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool to see her show growing. She's actually releasing her first episode today,
Tomorrow, well,
uh,
it's midnight.
at midnight tonight.
Mhm.
Ooh, close to the witching hour.
Yeah, so
For sure.
I remember my first episode, posting it. I was so nervous, but I was like, man, you know what? I'm going all in, might as well, because if not, I'm gonna regret it, like and look at us now, we met good people like you,
Yeah.
we have people
Aw,
hitting us up, and yeah, and it's been an amazing adventure. So
Yeah.
it
It's been
has.
good right so far.
And to think we all met thanks to Jeff at etalk.tv.
yeah, what's up, Jeff?
Shout out to Jeff with
E
eTalk
Talk
TV.
TV.
Oh, I love how you did that in unison.
This episode was meant to be.
We didn't even record. We didn't even rehearse that. That
Yeah.
just came out that way.
All right. As I would say, now that we got all the stuff out of the way for the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
So, near death experiences. Before I start with mine, I just want to share with everyone a near death experience does not necessarily mean it has to be in a hospital. It doesn't have to meet any criteria. Everyone's is different, so don't go and look at someone's experience and say, well, because yours, you don't have any proof of this through this means that's not real.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to put that little disclaimer out there that there are different types of near death experiences. So keep that in mind. And if something resonates with you, research it. And if not, let it go, move on.
Yeah.
For sure.
So the first one I'll share with you all was one that really got me thinking what's going on and everything. And that was, I believe I was in my late 20s, maybe early 30s. And I was at my house. And so to set up the scenario is I rarely get sick. And if I get a cold or flu, it's like a couple hours and then my body's like kicks it out and we're done. So
Yeah.
that in mind, that's where this story gets interesting. So I'm at home sitting in my living room, and being in Texas, you can imagine, our temperatures are pretty hot all the time. We don't get very cold usually.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm sitting in my living room, and all of a suddenly, it's like I start to feel a little off, and I'm like, what's going on? And I start to feel like my bones are getting cold, like ice cold. And I'm like, this is unusual. Something's not right. What's going on? Maybe I should go lay down. And I thought, well, no, it'll probably pass. And I decided instead to grab a blanket. So I have a blanket wrapped around me, still freezing. And it's like, you know, that feeling like that little like cold, like feels like something's like
Yeah.
is growing
Yeah.
and like that how that hurts. I was starting to
Mhm.
feel that on my bones and thinking, how are my bones turning to ice right now? This is something's really wrong. I need to go lay down. So I grab another blanket because I was so cold. So I had two blankets wrapped around me, and I'm on wooden floor, walking to the carpeted hallway. I get into the hallway, and I start to turn in the hallway towards my room, and I kind of bump the hallway wall a couple of times, you know, because feeling a little distorted.
Yeah.
And I walk into my room, and in the center of my room, against the wall, is a four-post, total hardwood, fully wood bed frame. Now, with the headboard. So now that I've painted the picture, what happened is I walk into my room, and all of a suddenly, it's like the last thing I remember is seeing the wall kind of like distort a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I woke up on the floor, and my chin was hurt, and I had a cut right here on my chin, and I was like, "What's going on? You know, how did I cut my chin?" And feeling very distorted. Didn't even think to look at the time, and I noticed I'm in the blankets, and I'm like, I'm roasting. So it's like I'm throwing the blankets off because I'm like, God, I'm so hot. Why would I have
Yeah.
on? And realizing I hit my chin on the bedpost on when I passed out and lost consciousness. And when I came to, not only was I on the floor, but you know how you've seen in movies, like when they say like tissues regenerating so it expels
Yeah.
Right.
old. Well, I actually had that happen. I managed to get into my bathroom and just, well, it's like my insides just exploded out. And
Well,
I was
Wow.
like, yeah. And I was like, I didn't really want to clean this up, but I was like, that was, I was like thinking I was going to get sick cleaning it up. But
yeah.
I was like, once all that came to, I was like, I realized I'm no longer cold. I don't feel dizzy. I feel totally normal, except one thing. All of a sudden, I started thinking about, I forget what the topic was, but it was a topic I had never thought about before. And not only am I thinking about the topic, but it's like I'm starting to like connect a bunch of dots around it
Yeah.
that I had never put together before. And I'm like, what is going on? And it dawns on me, apparently, when I was on out, I got downloaded some information
I was gonna say you got to download or something.
and so it's like now that my body is back to normal mode, it's like it's starting to kick in, and so I'm like, this is kind of interesting. And so it's like I started putting in, and it's like, and the strange thing is I kind of would be like I had a knowing of what was coming,
Yeah.
but not knowing what was coming. It's like, so when certain things would start to happen, I would be like, yeah, I knew that was going to happen. And so I was like, did I get downloaded something from the future into now? Because it's like, this should be surprising me, but instead my reaction is like, yeah, I knew about that. I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
And then fast forward, I think it was like a few years, and I had another one where I kind of passed out and I lost like, I think it was like 5, 10 minutes, which I know doesn't seem like very long, but it's like I cannot account for this time. I have no idea what happened in this time.
Yeah.
But when I came to, it was like all the thoughts that I had of like, oh well, this and this and this of the future gone. It's like I had no idea what was coming next. And so I was like, that's interesting. And I started to look at certain things and again started processing thoughts in a new way. And I was like, okay, if you guys are going to be knocking me out to upload stuff, stop putting me in danger.
Yeah.
Stop making me like blank out to reboot the system. Because, if you're just randomly doing this, I could be in a bad place.
Yeah.
This could be really bad. And
Yeah, for
so,
sure.
yeah, I mean, and I'd like to say like I saw like all these beans and everything, but I don't have memory of that. And
Uh,
so
have you have you tried doing like regression therapy for those scenarios or those situations?
I haven't, only because, well, one, I never really felt the need to, because
Yeah.
I was like, I was okay. I didn't feel like anything was like, I had no broken bones or anything. So I was like, what did you guys do to me? It was more of,
Yeah.
okay, so my system rebooted. I'm okay. Everything's good. And I'll just acclimate and move on. It's like, to me, there was like no reason to go and say, what happened? Why did you do it this way? It was like,
Yeah.
it kind of felt like I knew it was coming, but I didn't know when or how.
Yeah.
You get that sense of feeling like spirit's got something for me. So you
Yeah.
start getting prepared and start thinking, when's it going to happen? Am I going to get caught off guard, or can I beat him to the punch and figure it out first?
Yeah. Yeah, because even though, like even 15 minutes, although it seems like a short time, like these intelligent beings or astral beings, to them, time's like irrelevant, it could be 15 minutes, but to them, if they stop it and they're like doing whatever they're doing with you, whether it's an upgrade or some sort of healing or anything like that, I mean, time could be passing like hours, like in that bubble. But outside of it, really, it's only like 15 minutes.
Right. I like to coin the term when that happens is going, I was pulled out of time.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Exactly.
Normal time slowed down to nearly crawl speed, apparently, while I'm over here doing this and experiencing a whole lot of like time, but then coming back and being like, really, that's all the time that passed?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So that was all the experiences you've had for near death?
Those are the ones that I called near death experiences. And I think we talked about on the first episode, the one when I was 2, and I was like, I don't
Yeah.
constitute that as a near death. But when I was talking with another show host, they were like, you sure? That's kind of sounds like you should. And I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I died. But an interesting thing is, how I was sharing how, as an paranormal investigator, how stories evolve.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Well, my mom informed me that it was winter time. So when I fell down the shaft, I was in a winter coat and winter gear because it was cold where I lived. And she's like, and they thought that's why when I hit the ground, that cushioned the fall and why nothing was broken. And I was like, I don't know if falling down from the second floor to the first floor to a basement, the coat, snow coat and snow pants did much, but maybe.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure it did. If you're wearing
Broke the
like a
fall.
t-shirt and freaking basketball shorts, I'm pretty sure it would have hurt a little bit more.
oh, I'm sure, because yeah, back in those days we were in like feather town because it would be like close to zero outside
Yeah.
in the wintertime. And yeah, that was the other piece. I found out it was wintertime.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you did tell us that in the
Yeah.
last interview that it was winter, but you remembered it different. Well, your mom remembers it different than what you remembered it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's a new piece that I'm adding to the story now is that I was in winter gear.
Another piece to the puzzle.
So I saw recently that you were on a paranormal investigation. How's that been going?
It was really nice. It was a location where I was part of the team that was the first to investigate it
Oh, okay.
and establish that yes, there are spirits there, and people would definitely want to come and experience this. And so it was really humbling that on Saturday I went there and for the last investigation there because they're moving to another location.
Yeah.
And so it was like kind of a little somber and a little sad, but exciting to be like the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of really cool activity, and we had a we have a friend. Her name is Tammy Love,
Yeah.
and she's got these two vessel dolls. And I'm only going to go that far because I only know the name of. I only remember the name of one, and I don't want to
Yeah.
upset the other one because I don't remember her name.
Yeah.
But she brings them on investigations, and they help with
But
investigating. And we were in the doll room where I think I shared when we ended that that's where the voice was, the giggle that we
yeah.
did fine. Well, this time she put a mag light, one of those twisting flashlights.
Yeah.
She put it on a book, and we had cat balls around and K2 on another desk in the room on the other side of the area. And we start asking these questions, and all of a sudden, she goes and says, we're here to talk with you. If you want to talk, will you light up the flashlight? It lights up. And then we're like, she goes, okay, now we're going to ask questions. So do you mind turning it off so we can ask the questions? And you see the light starting to dim, and then it gets bright, and then it starts to dim, and then they figure out, okay, this is the way it goes off.
Yeah.
And so they turned it off, and so we had a long process of doing the flashlight test. And I know there's some controversy around the mag lights, if they're a good tool or not, but I can
Yeah.
tell you, I was sitting there watching it. Nobody was near this flashlight. She wasn't even in the room. I would talk to the flashlight, it would respond to me. So I'm kind of becoming more of the convinced that the mag light's a really cool tool to use
Yeah.
because I'm a little skeptic on stuff I don't understand how it works.
Yeah.
But I was like, this is really cool. And it was more intellectual responses than the last time I seen it. So I was like, yeah, I would almost not stack my reputation on
Yeah.
the fact that this was legit.
Okay.
Like watching it, and I was like, man. And we found out we were talking to a 10-month-old who
Wow.
drowned in a creek by his mom, and she drowned as well. And it was like late 1800s.
Wait, the mom drowned the baby?
Yeah.
Are there what? La Llorona.
No.
So, I mean,
No.
if you think about the late 1800s, early 1900s, that was harsh times.
Oh
And
yeah, definitely.
trying to take care of your kids, you know, parents, unfortunately, it was common for them to take them to places and dispose of them. And it is horrible to hear that,
Yeah.
but it's how they survived. And so,
Wow.
different times, you
Yeah,
know,
for
it's
sure.
like you can't really judge them and be like, that was a bad mom, because
Yeah.
that was a very different time, very different point in history to where, yeah, you know, she probably did the more humane thing
Yeah. I mean,
than,
nowadays it's you better not.
Yeah, that'd be a problem.
yeah. I'm not condoning that in today's time, no, because today's a lot different than it was in those days.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I definitely want to go eventually one day on an investigation. I actually eventually want to open up a branch with the Multi Broadcast where like a investigation department of it. Also, not just to investigate like the paranormal, like ghosts and stuff like that, but also UFO sightings and stuff like that, kind of like what MUFON does, but a branch also from us that goes out there and physically goes and talks to the people and to get the account, with the camera crew and all that stuff.
So I'm going to share with you something that I've come across, and I did an article where I had it published on an online newsletter, and it was called What is Paranormal? Paranormal, when you define it in the most basic sense, is anything that is unexplained.
Yeah,
Right.
When you take that definition and put it into scenarios, like you're saying UFOs, your paranormal investigators can investigate UFOs because that's
that's right. Yeah, yeah,
unexplained.
for sure. Yeah,
Portals are unexplained, hence paranormal.
yeah,
It's the same thing. And so when you start looking at all the like cryptids and are like, yeah, everyone's, you know, doing great, doing their niches. But I started, once I saw that and going, whoa, took a step back and said, yeah, as a paranormal investigator, I got to stop focusing on just this one aspect
yeah,
and start to cover it all, because we're leaving a huge chunk out in the middle of limbo. And it's like, it's not fair to them
yeah,
because nobody's ever considered it as paranormal. And it's like, so yeah, so I would say for you, you know, when you're starting your team, you don't have to have a UFO team or a cryptid team or a
yeah,
ghost hunting team. You could make one team that does it all.
yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, I won't be
I didn't
going
look at it
to
like
the,
that.
I won't be doing the paranormal stuff. That stuff I'll just stick to like
Yeah, I
land.
mean, I would love to go on a investigation with them, but I mean, I kind of want to just like let them do their thing, just represent them at the broadcast.
No, you can't.
Well,
If you're going in, you're going all
wear
in.
the t-shirts.
you know, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I would encourage both of you to at least do one so you know what it's like. So you know when, you know, if you have these people that are representing you coming in and saying, well, this is what we got here, here, and here, and here's all the footage, you know, and
Yeah,
you're looking at it and thinking, well, this is all great and everything, cool. You're also looking though and saying, well, I've done one. So with that in mind, why didn't you guys call out this? Or why didn't you
yeah.
call out that? And way,
Mm.
you know, you truly can trust your team that they're gonna represent you right, because
Yeah,
you have experience too to fall back on, and you're not just taking them at their word and saying, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
I trust you guys did this, even though I have no idea what you did.
Well,
yeah.
I trust him. So he's the one that's going to be going out there. I
Nah,
trust what he
nah, but even
says.
still, like
I'm
if I
not.
was there, I wouldn't be that brave guy. You know, I'd be the guy behind the camera because I know the camera has the flashlight on it, and I'd be like, "Oh my God," you know, like holding them, like, "Go first, go first." Yeah, so I don't think that would work in my favor.
Oh my God. That's
So
hilarious.
you got to look at paranormal investigating. I'll be honest, what you see on TV rarely is what happens on an investigation.
Yeah,
I've heard
Like
that. Yeah.
someone
yeah,
getting scratched and it's like you see blood. I've never had that happen. And I've been doing it for 5 years.
yeah,
Yeah.
And
We've
I've been
had
on over
somebody.
100.
Yeah. We've had somebody on the first season, a father and son, and they said the same thing about that. What you see on TV is not
yeah,
exactly what you just said. Yeah.
Has people been scratched? Yes, but not to the dramatic of what they make it on TV.
Right.
yeah,
And the other thing too is a friend of mine that we were talking to on a show pointed out and said, like, if Mary was to hold her arm out and Tony, you tried to grab her arm and you're like trying to get solid enough to grab the arm to like say, I'm here,
yeah,
what's gonna happen? Your nails could end up scratching it.
yeah,
That doesn't mean there's a bad spirit there because Mary got scratched. So that's the other part of the TV where it's a misnomer is, everyone assumes because someone was scratched, there's a
Mhm.
malevolent spirit there. No, it could just simply be trying to get attention and it mistakenly scratched because it finally was able to connect, but it didn't
yeah,
connect like it meant to.
yeah. I mean, I'll probably end up scratching somebody on accident, trying to grab them.
But a
Like,
lot of times you'll see like cat balls go off random and it's just like you get caught up in the cool light shows.
Yeah,
And it's like, and it's a lot of, I will be totally honest,
no, no.
you have to be in the right mindset because you will sit in a room potentially for 20 minutes, maybe half hour, maybe an hour, depending on how long you want to try doing an EVP session, but you're going to be in
yeah,
a room all by yourself,
No, thank you.
recording and asking questions to the blindness of where you're at and just hoping you're getting a response.
yeah. I have issues with
That's
being in the
not
dark, so
that's not my part of, yeah, that's not part of what
I,
I do with the Mountain
yeah, yeah. I
Broadcast.
have a nightlight on my phone, so.
I need to rethink the job description here.
But yeah, I mean, like I had this one scenario happen. Me and my buddy were laying tile at this house a long time ago, and the homeowners, they had these cards and they had like prayers and stuff, and they wanted us to lay them under the tile. I guess some little girl had died there, and so we're laying the cards in different rooms and all that, and this door keeps closing by itself. And I open it back up, and me and my buddy were like, "Man, what the hell?" And then I'm just random, just trying to have fun. I'm like, "Is there anybody in here? If you're in here, shut the door right now." And then as soon as I said that, I'm talking about like, soon as I said it, the door goes, "Ew." And we both look at each other like, "Oh shit." So yeah,
That would be an investigation.
yeah. Well, that's gonna be my first and my last. But
Yeah, but I
yeah.
guess going back to what he said, like how can a team be built and then go out there if we don't do it ourselves? I mean, I'm not going to, I'm just
I
saying.
mean, like real talk, I would probably go out there, just to experience it. But as far as like going all the time, I mean, stuff like that, it freaks me out. It really does. People could be like, "Oh, I'm macho, I'm this, I'm that," but at the end of the day, when you experience some stuff like that, it's a whole different animal.
Yep. And I'll be honest with you, Tony and Mary, I have Of all the places I've investigated, I've never run out because of being something that happened that just I was like, nope, I'm done, I'm out. But I'm not saying that it's not going to happen. I'm not,
Yeah,
you know, it will never happen. It just hasn't happened yet.
yeah,
And to be honest, that's kind of a little bit of the excitement of the
Mm-mm.
paranormal investigating is, you know, to be able to say, yeah, I've experienced that. And yes, it did scare me to this point, you know, and all of this. But at the same time, I don't sit there and view a location if that doesn't happen and saying, well, it's not really haunted. I'm like, no, it can be very haunted. It's
yeah,
just the spirits are nice. Most of the time, the spirits are nice. They're just beings that have not, for some reason, transitioned over, or they come back and just kind of take care of the place. And so they
yeah.
just talk. They're
It's
not
been
really
my luck that
interested.
I get the bad one. So yeah, no.
So like even with these beings, these I guess these dark entities, like can you ever tell like whenever you experience something, you know, the paranormal of it's either like a person that has passed or maybe one of these intelligent dark beings, kind of like the archons or
You can tell because the energy, like, so the energy you're feeling right now, you know, it's like pretty up, you know, it's you're kind of like chill energy. So that would be like if the spirit was there, you know, that's what we would consider a good spirit. You know, it's just there wanting to share their story. Now, the best way to describe it is okay, so Tony, think about when you're at work and the bosses are really wanting to get what you're working on in the air, and they're like, "What's taking so long?" And you're feeling the pressure,
that's
and
every
it's
night.
like weighing down on you, and you're like, "God, I got to get this done, but you know, I got to do it right." And you're like, all this pressure and this weight on you.
Yeah,
That's so
That's
true.
what bad feels like. Is all of a suddenly the room will start to get heavy and thick, and it's like in your mood, everybody's mood will go from like laughing to quiet
yeah,
to almost like sickening or angry. It's like
yeah,
that's why you got to investigate with people you trust is so they can watch for these signs.
yeah. And do you ever like whenever you encounter these dark entities, like have they ever presented themselves also with like a stench, like a smell?
Some have said that. I haven't really experienced to the point that I would definitely say, oh man, I had this awful smell because you got to remember too, usually investigations are in abandoned buildings,
Yeah,
so they're not upkept. So there's gonna be a stench to the
yeah,
building. So you got to really be like, okay, before I call this out, am I smelling the building or am I
yeah,
smelling something?
yeah,
And if you're in an old building and all of a sudden you're starting to smell flowers, by all means, call that out. Because
yeah,
to you, an old musty building or house is not going to have a rosy, pleasant smell.
yeah, for sure.
It need abandoned for like 50 to 100 years.
Yeah, I was just asking that because you know, like with scary movies, you know, I haven't really been on investigations like you have, so I'm going based off of what I see on TV, and of course it's TV, but you know, a lot of these dark entities in movies and TV shows, you know, they're like around the person, creeping up on a person, and like they start smelling like something nasty,
Mhm.
and it just like kind of goes I guess side by side with like a nasty smell for like a nasty entity or something. So
Well, I mean, I will say when the room gets real heavy, and you'll start to feel cold. Like
Yeah.
for us in Texas, that's like a big like deal when all of a sudden we get cold spots because we're like, hey, spirit, can you come back? Because you're making it feel better.
Especially during the summertime.
So it's like, yeah, and there are times that you may have like either hear like a grunt or a soft voice and can mistaken it as a growl
Yeah.
sometimes, but normally when it's a dark, negative, like low vibration person, angry person or anything, they're not going to do anything subtle. So you're going to hear like, you could hear door slamming and you can
Yeah.
hear like table move or something, that, that's, a heavier, with the heavy air and the cold and everything, you're dealing with a darker, angrier spirit.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I am very careful of, and I know a lot of the investigators that I work with are also, is when you go into a location and there's a guy there, I'll just say a guy, just as an example, who was like the worst guy when he was alive. He was like the bully to the extreme.
Yeah.
He just was the meanest of mean. So now he's in the afterlife as a spirit. He's going to present himself as mean, a bully. He's not going to be the, oh, hey, it's nice to see you. I'm so glad you came, because it's
Welcome
not.
to my haunted home.
So a lot of people will mistake that and say there's a demon here
Yeah.
because he's acting out just like he did in his life. And so that's where, when I'm investigating with people, is I like when I'll hear them say, there's an angry spirit here. I'm always like, I kind of smile inside and I'm like, thank you for not yelling out demon. And I'm like, oh, you took time and you really gave it thought. You didn't just yell out and react. And that's, I mean, I'm not saying there's no demons out there, but I haven't come across any, and I've come across some angry spirits.
Yeah.
But and I may have come across one once, but I stood my ground to it. I don't know if it was. I don't really know what I was dealing with at the time,
Yeah.
but I don't like when people go out and be like, "Oh, you got scratched. There must be a demon here." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Dude, really?" And what I like to do is I like to say to people, how I view it in my mind goes, so I'll take Tony for example and say, growing up, viewing society, one person comes up to you and goes, "Geez, Tony, you must be stupid to think what you just said." You're gonna brush that off because that's one person.
Maybe.
Then a couple more people come up and are like, "Oh man, did he just say you believe this? That's really dumb of you." Well, what are you going to start to think? Oh, I must be dumb because I'm thinking this.
Yeah.
Well, view it in the spirit world. If you're a nice spirit who mistakenly scratched someone trying to get their attention and are labeled the demon, now everybody comes in and says, "Oh, you're the demon." What are you going to do? You're going to start acting like a demon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's why I say we got to be very careful what we call out, because we may be creating a false persona,
Yeah.
and that can be very bad for whoever. If it is a person's home, that's even worse.
Yeah.
Good tips.
I don't know, for some reason it reminded me of that meme where it shows the alien and it's like everybody always asks, "Where is alien?" But now, how is alien? Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's crazy. So I know you said that you think you might have came across a demon one time. If somebody did come across a demon, what do you think that account would be like?
Um, you know,
Aside from running into a bad ghost, for example.
I would say the person would probably be totally drained and their persona be totally like 180. Like, so imagine, and I'm gonna say, bubbly Mary walks into a location and she starts talking to something, and all of a suddenly starts to push, whoever she's with away from her and starts isolating herself. And then when somebody comes up and it's like, "Are you okay?" And she chews them out for interrupting, and you're like, "Wait, this isn't Bubbly Mary. Bubbly Mary doesn't chew someone out. She doesn't isolate. She doesn't like push people around.
Yeah.
Her entire way of, who she is 180. That could be either possession or a demon
Okay.
influencing. So that's why it's always important to have people you trust to see the signs of, for example, if Bubbly Mary like sits there and, starts to snap at someone, but, and that's the first thing that she does out of character. You could say,
Mhm.
"Hey, let's step outside." Grab, you take her outside, grounds, and she's like, "Man, I don't know why I snapped.
Yeah.
That's, I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me." Well, now it's okay to go back in because whatever was influencing her or like affecting her has been broken. So you can go back in and, if it happens again, then you got to keep your eyes on Mary because there's something about her that's attracting them.
Yeah.
And vice versa, if it starts to happen to, say, Bubbly Tony starts going and starts showing signs, you gotta have people that'll see it and pull you out so that it doesn't become a big deal where it's like, yeah, you gotta call in people to get this attachment off, and something's implanted something, and so get that out, and it becomes a much bigger issue.
Yeah.
So I mean, paranormal investigating is a fun hobby, but you do have to do it with respect.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not going to be that good person to go because I'm a little bit of everything. So if something were to be influencing me, they're not going to know because again, I'm a little bit of everything. In 24 hours, I can be bubbly and I can be like,
She's like the Texas weather.
yeah. So I'm not a good person. See, he's even saying it. It's settled.
Nah,
Anyway.
she is. She is. She really is.
Yeah, but the thing too is with paranormal investigating is you got to have tools to go with you. Like, so I have a quinceed, I have organite, I have trying to think what it's called. It's this black material that's it's not
The lupus
obsidian,
lazuli or something.
but it's shungite. That's
Okay.
what it is. And I wear that, and depend if I start getting a bad feeling, like I'll start with one, and if I start feeling really, really off and like something, you know, stronger than, you know, a angry spirit is around, I'll put more stuff. Like I may put organite in my pocket, put shungite on top of, my shirt, because all of those are protections that'll keep whatever, low vibration is trying to attach to you.
Yeah.
It'll stop it from being able to attach to you. So it's like I, in essence, will shield up and go through, and I will always say at the end, thank you for allowing us in your space. Thank you for communicating with us. However, I am going home. We're going home. You're staying here. This is
Yeah.
your home. This is where you belong. Thank you and good night. And that's it. But you still gotta stage yourself and cleanse because, you never know. Something may, when you least expect it, you may take off your shielding and a little kid may be like, oh, hey, this guy looks really nice, and I bet he's, really friendly and wants to talk, and he'll follow you.
Yeah.
And
That's always been my concern.
but yeah, as long as you take the time to clear yourself before you go home, I'd say there's like probably you're at like 98% chance nothing's going home with you.
Yeah.
I can't say 100% because nothing is 100%,
Yeah.
but yeah, and I keep my car protected by the same protections that I put on me. So it's like whatever can't get it on me can't get on my car.
Yeah.
So it's like almost, you would have to think the ghost is or spirit is hovering over the car, like floating with the car, not
Yeah.
on the car. So it's like
In the back seat.
I would figure it would give up being on the highway and find a much better target
Yeah.
that way. But
Speed to the highway.
Yeah.
I just I find it hard to go with all the protections I have on me and my car that anything could follow me, attach to me and come home with me because I'm
Yeah.
like, but I can't guarantee it, but I feel like, yeah, it's like 98% chance not gonna happen.
Yeah. Because I mean, like I was saying, that's always been my concern.
Mhm.
Going and doing that and then getting something attached to me. Or even speaking about it, because everything has a certain vibration, so you speak about these things and you're telling like a real scary story or situation or an encounter that happened, that vibration, you're putting it out. And we had interviewed the unknown investigators,
Mhm.
and they had a lot of crazy stuff
Shout out to
yeah.
Tristan and Chad,
Yeah, what's up,
unknown
guys?
investigators.
Yeah, and they had a lot of crazy stuff happen. And
Yeah.
after that, you know, so before I always had issues with sleeping. That's why I always try to sleep with a little light on, because I always have I feel like somebody's behind me. I've been poked in the face. I've been, somebody brushed my face. I've had the blankets yanked down
Yeah.
before, stuff like that. And or sleep paralysis with the whisper lady, our very first episode.
Yeah.
And my mom called me one time after that episode. We put that episode out, and she was like, you really need to be careful with stuff like that. You need to do a cleanse and all that. So, I mean, stuff like that is always something that I've worried about. That if I go do an investigation, something's gonna be attached to me. Because, like I said, after that episode, I started again seeing, like shadow beings and shadow people, and I started getting those same feelings again that someone was right there. The lights would be off, but right next to my bed it'd be an even darker spot, like darker than dark, and it's just that feeling that something's there, and
Right. And
something, yeah.
so one thing that I will suggest and that I do myself is when I do a show where we're talking about, potentially, dark subject matters, I will, when the show's over, go and diffuse sage and Palo Santo oils to
Okay.
cleanse the air and cleanse the house. Because it's like, yeah, I feel like because I was talking about it, may interpret it as an invitation, and it's not. And so I will clear the house and clear everything after the episode. But also the thing to think about too, as well, is under universal and natural law, nothing can enter your space without your permission.
Yeah.
And if you're like going, oh, like you mentioned La Llorona, and it's like all of a sudden you're like going, hey, I think she's here. Maybe she mistaken, saying her name as an invitation to come in.
Yeah.
You can totally, in that moment, go, if this is you, your permission is revoked and you are to leave. And that is under those two laws. No spirit, no nothing can break those.
Yeah.
The key to it, though, that people need to understand, and I cannot stress this enough, is when you do it, before you do it, after you do it, like I would say, give it like a day or two after, you cannot doubt that what you said, you meant it and it was done.
Yeah.
Because if you doubt it, that's a window for them to go, oh, he didn't really mean that. So we'll come back tonight and we'll,
Yeah.
make it, even worse because you tried to get rid of me.
Yeah.
No, you have to stand firm and have full intention, no doubt, and stand, it's the metaphysical term is stand in your power, is you
Yeah.
have to own your space and say, no, you do not have permission to be here. You have to leave. And if you do it right, which means, full intention of, yes, I'm not going to change my mind. I have no doubts that, this is going to work.
Yeah.
They're gone. You'll instantly feel the energy of the house change.
Yeah. All right. And actually, speaking of the Whisper Lady, that's actually a painting that she did for me of that the actual scenario of whenever I got sleep paralysis and this lady came and was like whispering stuff in my ear.
Oh,
So
okay.
Yeah,
yeah,
it just describes it, and then I go from there, and he says, "Yeah, that's it."
yeah.
It's
But
interesting you say that because when I first saw it, I was going to say, oh, you guys are into anime? Because it looks like an
it does kind of look like anime,
It
right?
does look like anime.
And yes, I am, by the way.
No, I'm not, by the way. I'm just the artist, the paints
I
people's
love anime.
vision. So yeah, I just
But
paint.
all right, so it looks like our time's coming to a close.
What? We didn't even get the
Yeah, I know we
time
need
travel. It's
yeah,
gonna
we
have
didn't
to be
even get to
another
talk. Yeah,
episode.
we're definitely gonna have to do part 3.
That was gonna be my topic.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm interested in too is the time travel.
It was time traveling, and what was the other topic we didn't get to?
The mythology.
Yeah, mythology.
Mythology, yeah.
Oh yeah, we definitely have to do another.
Yeah, so part 3, time travel and mythology. We kind of got off subject and went on into it, but it
No,
was
but
pretty
the
cool though, because
paranormal was good. Yeah, because
this
we
was
got a lot
really
of good
cool.
advice on that for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
So, Tony and Mary, I want to say this with all the graciousness in my heart and everything. Welcome to the world of live.
Thank you. And real quick before we end it, Michael, if you want to plug in your pages and all that, where people could go check you out at.
So the best places to find my shows are, so I have YouTube channels and Rumble channels and eTalk.tv channels that are all named after, well, eTalk's not named after the shows, but most of them are named after the shows. And so Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock is my paranormal shows. That is the energy that surrounds us. And those can be found by looking up the energy that surrounds us on YouTube or Rumble. Actually on Rumble, I think I shortened it to Tetsu to make it simple, TETSU.
Okay.
And Wednesdays is Writing Through the Unknown 3 times a month. That's my esoteric or hidden knowledge where I kind of delve into topics that are not normally topics that people would think about that's going
Okay.
on around us. And those can be found on YouTube and Rumble, Writing Through the Unknown. And my third show that I'm a part of is Paranormal Versus, which is me and a couple of friends in the UK. And that is on Thursday afternoons at 3 o'clock Central Time. And those can be found on YouTube and Paranormal and Rumble under, if you look up Paranormal Versus. So those
Yeah.
are the best place to catch the shows. And if you go to Facebook and you look up Michael Kopf, you'll find me. There's a funny story behind that, but we'll set it up for another time.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Michael, for coming on. And there it is, everybody. Michael Kopf from the energies that surrounds us. And we're gonna go ahead and close this out. So from everybody here at the Melted Broadcast, don't forget,
Stay melted.
All right, guys. Much love.
Thank you.
Bye.